What's up, guys? I'm the Weird Car Kid, yet again. And today is not going to be a fun one. We are going to be taking this battery out so that I can store it for winter because it's November. So, this is going to be fun. So let's come back here, grab all my tools. Okay, now that I got all my tools, let's go under the hood. So let's open that up. Alright, now that that's open, I'm going to take a 5/8 wrench and disconnect the negative battery terminal. Yeah, I do not like changing the battery in this car, and this does apply for the Plymouth Breeze, which is the car that I have, the Dodge Stratus, Chrysler Cirrus, Chrysler 300 from like 02, like early to mid 2000s. But for 300, instead of it being on the driver's side, it'll be on the passenger side. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is come down here, take this off, let that be gone, and then break loose all the lug nuts. So grab your breaker bar with a 3/4 socket on it, and then break all the lug nuts loose. So I'm using a 20mm, so a little bit of play in it, but there we go. That's one. Boom, that's two. And I always break loose the lug nuts in a star pattern, just like if you're tightening them up. 3. Do number 4. It's a little tight. There we go. And then, let's see. Let's get that put on there right. It's kind of difficult. There we go. Number 5. Alright. And you make sure to do that before you put the car up on the jack. Okay? Alright. So now here's the fun part. Take your jack, slide it underneath the car, and actually, I'm going to put my key in here real quick, and then all the stuff that's in my pockets, because I'm about to be on the ground. Alright, so now if you get on the ground, it's a little dirty here, but you can either use jacking point here, which is meant for a scissor jack, or you can come underneath here to the frame rail. Now, I'm going to use that since it's a solid piece of metal, but the jack doesn't fit under there because it's a crappy jack, and I forgot my jack handle, so I'll be back when I got that. There we go. Always remember to get all of your tools when you're getting ready to work on your car, or at least all the tools that you're going to need. I just bring everything that I got because, well, you never know. What I'm going to do is, since this jack can't slide under there, since it's, well, it's too high up to get to the frame rail. So, yeah, that does not fit. So, I'm going to take the scissor jack and raise it up so I can raise the car up just a little bit so that the jack can slide underneath there. So, twist, twist, twist. Take it down a little bit. And then right there where it falls into that groove. And you can do this by hand really easily. And then now, just raise it up just a little more. And now the jack should be able to slide underneath there. Yep. There we go. So now that the jack is underneath the car, on the frame rail. Make sure that it is touching. And then, if you got it in the right spot, without the weight on the car, I'm gonna turn the wheels of the jack in the right direction, so that if the jack ends up moving forward, it's not gonna get stuck having to move the wheels back around. Okay, so now you got that. Make sure that it's tight, and you can start jacking your car up. I'm gonna get anything that's gonna interfere with the jack if it moves. I'm gonna get that out of the way, and you just start jacking your car up. Now I usually go a lot higher than I need to, but when I go to take that wheel off, I'm gonna slide it underneath the car. So I probably want it kind of high. And since this is a kind of a harder to use jack, what I'm gonna do is use my feet to jack it up. Yes, I'm a weakling, don't judge. But that makes it also a lot easier to get the car jacked up, and it also makes sure that you're not in the way of the jack if the jack were to slip out. So just keep on going, and the tire starts coming off the ground. Let's give it a couple more pumps. There we go. Now that the wheel's off the ground, I'll just take the scissor jack. Since I don't have actual jack stands yet, I'll just use this as my extra bit of protection. So I just crank this up until it's all the way touching the frame. Alright, at the end of cranking the jack, you just reposition it so that it is in the groove of the jack stand. Well, I wouldn't say jack stand, but scissor jack. And then make sure that they're both touching. And now that the car is up on jacks, I'm not even gonna say jack stands anymore because, well, it's just another jack. But now you just shake the car a little bit, make sure it's solid. Hey, puppy. And then now that that's solid, you're ready to take the wheel off. So I just put that same socket onto my 1/2-inch ratchet, and then I'm just gonna finish loosening up all the lug nuts. You don't want to take them all the way off, just make sure that they're loose, because once they're all the way off, well, that's when the wheel starts to come off. So here's the third one. I usually like to get it till it's like at least like snug, or wow, but at least till it's flush with the stud, because like I said, I don't want to take it all the way off yet. And then once you're on your last one, that's when the wheel's gonna start to move. So there we go. And then now, oh, that's still a little tight. Now that you got them loose, you can take them off the rest of the way. Alright, now as you take the last lug nut off, if it's still on there, right, well, if it's still like holding the wheel in place, the wheel's gonna start to move as you take it off. And then once it's finally off, you can just take the wheel off, and I'm gonna try to do it one-handed. And let's see. There we go. I think. Yes. And the wheel is gone. So now we just slide it underneath the car. And now, if you've done everything right, it should look like this. Your battery's disconnected. Your car is on the jack and should be a jack stand, but again, I don't have one, so I'm using a scissor jack as extra protection, and the wheel underneath the car. Don't mind the brake rotor being so rusty. The car's been sitting for a while, so there's gonna be rust. But now you're ready to take the battery out. So you got this neat little battery logo, which I think it looks kind of cool, but what's not cool is the fact that it is right here. But yeah, you'll take these little pins out. There's usually a lot more of them, but I just put one in. And then there's a couple of clips you got to pop out from up there. And then you just start to wiggle this shield on out. Come on. Maybe. There we go. And then pops out just like that. And then here's your battery. Now, when I was taking the original battery out, I ended up snapping this bolt, but you'd have to remove that bolt. And then that one, well, maybe, but just to remove the battery, I'm gonna take that bolt out. And this was so loose, I can just remove it by hand. Just like that. Alright, and now that the bracket can just slide right off, just like that. Just set that aside. I like to keep the bolt with it. And then, here is your battery. Now, you would want to get your 8mm, yep, right here, 8mm socket, or in this case, a wrench. Disconnect the negative first, and then the positive terminals. Okay, so now that we're on the negative, you just start unscrewing it, just like that, and then it should pop off. Probably not loose enough. Come on. There we go. Alright, now that's removed, and you know that now there's no power going to the car or anywhere, because again, this was taken out, and if you touch this, there's no sparks. See? No sparks. But if the battery was connected just like that, and you came up here to test it, you see that there's sparks because the battery's connected. Alright, so, and that's why I disconnect the ground first, because once you disconnect the ground, there is no power going anywhere. If you disconnect the power first and then you short something out, long story short, it's just not going to be very good. So now that ground is removed first, there's nothing really to short out. You just remove positive now. Come on. And then it just comes right on off. And then I just put that little cap back on so that you just protect the terminal. And now here's the one part that we've all been waiting for. It's getting this battery on out. Okay, so I'm not gonna film the whole thing of me taking the battery out, because you need two hands, one to slide the battery out and then one to catch it. Alright, so right now, and the battery is out. So now what you want to do is grab your battery while you're heavy, and then just set it to the side. So right there. Why not? And yeah, now you kind of have a mess of stuff. So, and then if you're replacing your battery, you would just get the new battery, stick it on in here, reconnect positive first, then negative. Fit this bracket back in. Tighten up this nut right here. Just like that. And then tighten up this one down here. Again, mine is non-existent because I snapped it. And then after that, you're just gonna put this little shield back in. So I'm not gonna go too crazy with it because, well, I'm not really protecting it from anything because nothing is in there. But if you're just replacing your battery, you're gonna put this little clip, 2 clips there, and then this little locking clip that goes right into there. Alright, so all I did was that I put those 2 little pins back up into there and then locked it down there. And if you are putting the shield back, you probably want to tuck this inside of the bumper, but I'm not really going to worry about it, you know. Alright, so now your battery is back in, theoretically, or in my case, back out. Now, all it should do, pretty much, is that you put the tire back on. It's literally that simple. Drag her on over here. Yoink. And then you just fit the tire back on. My feet, I like to use my feet to help me put the tire back on. And then once the bolts line up, push the tire all the way on, grab a lug nut, and then screw it on. It's that simple. And then if you're really paranoid about the wheel falling off, you can tighten it on up. Just like that. And now that wheel is going nowhere now that you got that lug nut on. And then you just put another one on. Hey. Screw it on. And then once you got all 5, just like this, now you are ready to take the car off the jack. Okay, now here's where people get kind of scared, is letting your car down. Because just imagine if your foot's under here, or if your tools are under there. You don't want the car to fall onto, like I said, onto you, onto your tools, bust your tire. You don't really want that to happen. Okay? So, in my case, I'll just let the scissor jack down first. And then, once it's good to slide out, now, I'm going to let the jack down. Now, don't let your jack down super fast, but, let's see. And as I say that, but you want to let your jack down slowly. Don't do what I just did. Again, I didn't mean to do what I just did, but you know, yeah. And then you just slide your jack back out. Now your car is on the ground, and you just want to torque down your lug nuts so that they don't come flying off when you're driving. So, for me, I don't have a torque wrench, but if you have one of those, use it please. You probably would want to. But what you want to do is torque your lug nuts down to, let's say, 80 to 100 foot-pounds. And yeah, they get tightened up really tight. But, geez, that took a while. Get your breaker bar, for me, slip it on there. And since the car is not really going to move anywhere anytime soon, I'm just going to snug it down. Doesn't have to be crazy tight. If it's, especially like my car, where it's just going to end up sitting. Just make sure that it's nice and snug, not going to fall off. 2, and again, torque your lug nuts down in a star pattern. So, either that or do the one across from the other lug nut. So, I just went from this one to this one, down to this one. Now I'm going to do that one and then that one. So, in a star pattern. Boom, 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 boom. So, oh wow, socket got stuck on there. Boom. Wiggle it on off. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And then tighten it up. Just like that. And then this one down here. Just like that. Boom. Now that your lug nuts are torqued down and your car is on the ground, what you want to do if you're replacing your battery, you would, well, reconnect it. And I'm just going to do this anyway, just to show you, like, that's all you're doing. You're just fitting the cable back on, and then, again, a 5/8 wrench. It's not the right size, but it fits. So, you just tighten it on down. Actually, you can get this down hand tight most of the way. And then, again, tighten it and snug it down so that, well, the battery doesn't come flying off once you, well, you know, once you're driving. So, now it's on there, you are done. And that's how to replace your battery, or in this case, remove mine to store for winter, in a Plymouth Breeze, Dodge Stratus, Chrysler Cirrus, cars from 1995 to 2000. This is a 1999, and yeah, that's the full process of changing your battery in a Plymouth Breeze. Just puppy. But yeah, and that's how it's done. I am the Weird Car Kid. Goodbye.